Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 7-day Jumpstart Reset to Summer Fat Loss. If you see me looking up, I just have some notes because I wanted to remember everything that I wanted to include in this video. First of all, I'm so happy you're here. And let me start with the myth that we've been told forever, which is weight loss is just calories in and calories out. So if we create a deficit, then we're going to lose fat. Technically, 3,500 calories equals 1 pound of fat. So calories matter, but they're not the focus. It's a distraction, actually. And yo-yo dieting over time causes metabolic dysfunction. So yo-yo dieting, like initially, maybe when you go on a calorie restricted diet, you might find good results. You might lose some weight because we are changing up things and we're cutting back on our energy and we're increasing energy and it may work. But then over time, when we do this over and over again, we bring that set point of our metabolic intake, our metabolic flexibility. We damage that and we just end up gaining the weight back, right? And then we go in this vicious cycle and then it doesn't work and we get really frustrated. So what does matter? This is not going to be focusing on calories. This is not a deprivation. What I'm trying to do and help guide you guys with is resetting, kind of just doing a reset where we reset the metabolism and we train the body to use fat for fuel. So let's talk about hormones. So hormones are chemical messengers that tell the body exactly what to do and when to do it. So the focus again this week is training the body to burn fat efficiently, okay, balance hormones, and reduce inflammation. And we want to restore that metabolic flexibility. So you're going to find a shopping list and a meal plan. I'm not a big meal plan person. I want to give you, though, a guideline and I want you to understand that it's not a diet. I'm giving you suggestions. You can mix and match different things. You can bring in your own food choices. One thing I'm going to tell you is there's spinach in some of the recipes. I would swap that out for like dandelion greens, asparagus, or arugula. I'm saying that because spinach and kale contain oxalates and sometimes can initiate inflammation. A small amount is fine, but I don't want you to take that in every day. Um, okay, so we're aiming for metabolic flexibility. So that means we're teaching your body to burn stored body fat. And over the course of the 7 days, you're going to lose 3 to 10 pounds. My goal is that you lose fat, not just weight on the scale. So we can go by also how our clothes fit and how we feel. So the body has, going back to the calories, 800 calories, for example, of something like toast or bagels or processed, like a lot of bread foods, even oatmeal, can have a different effect on the body as something like 800 calories of grass-fed steak and pastured eggs. So the body, again, it initiates different hormone releases. So when we eat sugar or carbohydrates, the body releases insulin. So insulin's a fantastic hormone. We would die without it. But its only job is to clear sugar from the blood and put it into cells. So it's the key that unlocks the cell so that the sugar can enter. That's the only reason why insulin is released. So when we have too much insulin, it causes insulin resistance, okay? And in insulin is present, it's a fat storage hormone. So remember I said chemical messengers, they send messages to tell the body what to do. Insulin tells the body to shove excess sugar and fat into the cell. So we want to minimize insulin being released. So therefore, we're going to reduce our carbohydrates and our sugar intake. So let me just check my notes. I want to make sure I didn't forget anything. Okay, so while eating low carb can be a very effective way to increase the body's ability to burn fat, because if we're not giving the body sugar, okay, which is an immediate source of energy, the body has to get the fuel from the fat that's stored. Okay. So think of it like a refrigerator in your kitchen is very easy access, but the freezer in the basement where you store other food, it's a little harder to get to. But if there's no food in the refrigerator, you're going to have to go downstairs in the basement. Same thing with your body. So What I want to say is that I've learned the hard way of being too low carb for too long and practicing too much intermittent fasting. So these are amazing tools, and we're going to use them. And I'm going to teach you how to cycle them. Okay. So low carb doesn't mean no carbs forever. And let's qualify that when I say carbohydrates that we're going to be eliminating, and hopefully you will be avoiding them, eliminating them, and greatly avoiding them in your life in general, is going to be those processed carbohydrates. You know, the bread, the crackers, the cookies, the potato chips. These are going to spike your blood sugar, which will spike your insulin. Okay. And they're not giving us any nutritional density. So a lot of times, I usually tell people that when you're trying to release fat, we want to include a lot of nutrient dense foods. What does that mean? That means what we're eating, what is it doing for us? Is it providing some minerals, vitamins, protein? So macronutrient would be protein, a healthy fat, or carbohydrates are considered macronutrients. Then our micronutrients are our minerals and our vitamins, vitamin C, potassium, magnesium, calcium. So, what is the food giving us? So, we want to really, because we don't want to eat a lot of excess food, then we're going to eliminate things that we just don't need. Okay. So, again, we're going to be using some fasting and we're going to be using some low carb. And then on day 7, we're actually going to do a fast. Okay. Now, you don't have to do a 24-hour fast. I You can try it, we can talk about it. But what that looks like is on day 6, you would eat either breakfast or dinner. And then the following day, you would either eat breakfast or dinner to break your fast. So during that day 7, you're going to consume filtered water like spring water or filtered water with sea salt because you want to get minerals. We need electrolytes. Okay, that's what gives us energy. So we need to make sure we're getting electrolytes, which is potassium, sodium, and magnesium. Trace minerals that a sea salt will provide. We can take in black coffee. We can take in tea, herbal teas, black tea. So it's actually easier than it sounds. But I do have an option to do a mimicking fasting day. And what mimicking fasting is when we're actually eating a certain way that tricks the body into thinking that it's fasting. So there's actually a formula with that. And yes, we're going to talk about calories with the mimicking fasting because it's going to be about 500 to 700 calories of intake. So it could be low as 500 or 400. It could be as high as 1,000. So what we do is we're going to take food that doesn't have no animal protein on this day, because we're actually going to be shutting down what's called the mTOR system. So again, this is just a temporary thing that usually I'm a big animal protein fan and I promote eating a lot of high quality animal protein. But on this day, we're not going to have any. We're actually going to limit the protein intake to 20 grams or less because believe it or not, there is protein in other things. So if you decided to have a quarter cup of nuts, that would yield about 9 to 12 grams of protein. So we have to be careful of that. Also, I'm going to recommend that we do it as a keto. So if we're doing a mimicking fast and we're going to be eating that day, then I'm going to choose foods like avocado, sauerkraut, romaine lettuce, arugula, berries such as blackberries, raspberries, or strawberries, even like full fat coconut cream or heavy cream to put in your coffee. So we're actually eating, but we're not taking in any animal protein. We're keeping the caloric low and we're eating fat. Okay, so we'll get more into that on our call on Tuesday. So that's exciting. So this week should yield you, like I said, 3 to 10 pounds of releasing of fat. But the idea of it is more that it's going to just get us into a momentum of a fat burning momentum. Okay, because I like you to have your cake or wine and eat it too, meaning I want to get your body set up so that when you do have that ice cream over the summer, you have that overindulgence, it doesn't matter. You're not going to gain weight because we're going to have tools in our toolbox like intermittent fasting, like having low carb days, in order to set the body's metabolism so that it can handle those extra things. Okay. So we're going to get more into detail on Tuesday, but just so you know, we're going to be limiting our carbohydrates to 50 grams or less per day during this reset. So what does that look like? So 50 grams of carbohydrates. So just as a reference, a medium-sized banana is 30 carbohydrates. We have carbohydrates even in our greens, like our asparagus or broccoli, cauliflower, and asparagus or something like that. So we are taking in carbohydrates when we're eating vegetables. So we want to limit the starchy vegetables. And if you are one of my clients that has done a hair test and we need more potassium, I usually recommend coconut water as a really great potassium source. So a bottle of that might yield about 17 carbohydrates. So we just want to be mindful. So there, if we're taking in a couple coconut waters a day and we have a big salad, then that might be our carbohydrates for the day. And then what are we going to be eating for protein? So days 1 through 6, we're going to be eating, and I'm going to always tell you the highest level of protein. So I'm going to say grass-fed beef, 100% grass-fed, grass-finished, pastured chicken, pastured organic eggs, lamb, bison. Um, so I think I said chicken. So it doesn't mean you have to do that. I'm just letting you know what the recommendation is, and then you do the best you can for what's available for you. Okay, so I'm not going to get into too much detail. I was going to kind of go into a story about myself being low carb for so long. So I practice intermittent fasting, and that's what we're going to talk about next. So our eating, when intermittent fasting basically means that we have an eating window of a certain amount of time, and we have a fasting window of a certain amount of time. So I'm going to say that the base is going to be 12 hours of fasting and 12 hours of eating. So that means that if we're done eating by 7 p.m., then we can eat again at 7 a.m. And after that 7 p.m., after you eat that dinner, then you can consume herbal tea or water, anything that's non-caloric, and no food. Okay. And then when we break our fast, so means breaking your fast, whether that's at 7 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock in the morning. I used to tell my clients to skip breakfast. I did that for a decade, and it worked really well for me. Unfortunately, it had some negative side effects that I didn't know about then that I've learned over the last few years of my studying in metabolic health and learning more about oxidation and different systems. So what I did to myself was I really diminished my ability to make my hormones. So my hormones became so depleted that I'm on a hormone replacement therapy, which I think is a fantastic option for peri and postmenopausal women, to keep your body healthy, to protect you from heart disease, osteoporosis, cancer, because of the loss of our sex hormones, our estrogen, our progesterone, our testosterone, comes along with risks in our health because it's not that protective hormones that we had when we were before perimenopause or before menopause, I should say. Now, what happened to me was that naturally your ovaries go into retirement during menopause. So that means that they're no longer producing large amounts of estrogen and progesterone and testosterone. And what happens is the body being so innately intelligent, the adrenal glands actually take over and will produce lower levels, but hormone levels of estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. And because of my constant stress on the adrenals, my adrenals became very fatigued, and they're just like, no, I'm tired. I don't have any more energy to make you hormones. So my hormones were so low that they were almost non-existent. So for me, hormone replacement therapy is a huge blessing. I'm still working on my hormone balance, and it's healing. So I'm on a healing journey myself. It also affected my thyroid hormone, and if you don't know this, thyroid is everything. I mean, thyroid hormone, if we're dealing with hypothyroidism, which 80% of women are actually not diagnosed properly because unfortunately we don't have the correct testing in a conventional model. So when you go to your doctor and you are expressing your symptoms of, well, it's going to difficult for me to lose weight, I'm experiencing anxiety, my hair is falling out, I'm cold all the time. These are just some symptoms of a slow functioning thyroid. And then your doctor will run a panel and will come back to you, and then tell you the good news that your blood work is actually great and there's no problem. And then you're left like, well, what the heck is wrong with me? I must need to cut back on my eating more and I may need to exercise more. So here you are, already in a state of fatigue, already feeling anxiety and frustration and maybe depression. And you're feeling like it's probably something you're doing wrong. And the truth is that we're not testing. So typically on a conventional panel, you'll see TSH and maybe free T4. And that's just completely not I feel like it's actually malpractice, but that's my opinion because if you're not testing free T3, if you're not testing reverse T3, and you're not testing antibodies for possibly autoimmune Hashimoto, then how do we know if your thyroid's really working? Just isn't free T3 to let you know is the hormone that is your metabolism and your energy. So if you just looked at my TSH on my last labs, you would have said, or my doctor would have said, oh, you're fine. You're actually, your TSH that's your thyroid stimulating hormone. Mine was like a 1. It's like a 0.98, which is actually good. They didn't test my free T3. You wouldn't have known that it was literally the lowest number possible. Okay, so from a 2 to a 4.4, I was a 2. So my thyroid wasn't working very well. And that can affect your other hormones. So we'll dive more into that, and I'm happy to help you with like asking your doctor for the proper labs. And if I work with Noelle, and Noelle is a nurse practitioner, so she's a licensed practitioner that practices functional medicine. So she does hormone replacement, and she can help you with the right panels. So I do refer a lot of clients to her. Um, so getting back to the chronic low carb, the too much fasting. Fasting is a tool. As women, we need to do it more specifically and intelligently than men. Men can do a lot of like keto and very low carb and lots of fasting, and they're primarily dealing with testosterone. So it works for them. So we just do it a little bit differently. So we're doing like a keto-like or a version of keto this week because we do want to get into a fat burning mode. So I'm going to say 50 or less carbs a day, but we're going to prioritize protein and also don't want you to have boatloads of fat, which would be on a typical keto diet. So our fat grams are going to be between 65 and like 85. I think it's in the report, 60 to 85, something like that. So it's enough healthy fat, but it's not like adding 2 tablespoons of butter to your steak and, other things like that that would typically be on a keto meal plan. The protein is really important. Without protein, we're not going to be able to maintain our muscle mass and we're going to be hungry. So the combination of fat and protein is vital because it just is satiating. Think in terms of more. A lot of times when we're dieting or trying to cut back, I notice that women will like have a small amount of chicken on their salad. And if you take that and put it on a food scale, it might weigh 3 ounces. Every ounce of meat is going to yield about 7 grams of protein. So in 3 ounces, I might have 21 grams of protein, which is kind of like bare minimum for the amount of you can really do 6 ounces of chicken and it's quite a bit, so you get to actually feel satiated. So when you eat your meals, which could be breakfast, lunch, and dinner, okay, and we're going to practice a fasting schedule of a minimum of 12 hours of eating and 12 hours of fasting, but we can push it to about 14 hours. I don't want to make this so crazy where we're doing an 18-hour fast. Too many, we can throw in a day or two of that if you feel as comfortable, but preferably I'd rather you fast on the back end of the day. So what that looks like is because for a circadian rhythm our bodies are expecting to eat, like that kind of jump starts our metabolism and our energy for the day. Remember, our body is signaled through our hormones, and it's actually signaled through the light. So when it's light outside, and the sun rises and our eyes receive the light from the UVA light and the red light and all the different colors of the morning sun. It's primarily red and UV. I'm sorry, not UV, infrared. It goes through your eyes and it actually sends a message to the supracuneus nucleus in your brain, and that says it's time to be awake. It's time to digest food. It's time to have mental clarity. It's time to do things. So, eating and light signal that. So, it is much better to eat a big breakfast and then a smaller lunch and then an even smaller dinner. So if we're going to do a more longer fast, then we can look to eat that breakfast, eat that lunch, and maybe skip dinner or just stop eating earlier, like at 5 o'clock, and then have your eat again at 7 in the morning. That's what I would prefer. And that's what's the better. And the science tells us clinically that skipping breakfast and eating later in the afternoon and then eating later dinner is not optimal because we go to bed at a certain time and we don't want the body to be breaking down and digesting food. So in this 7 days too, we're going to be working with circadian rhythm. Um, I want to see if I skipped anything because I'm going off on tangents. Okay, and I'll do a quick review so we don't get confused. So everything you need is free in this plan. I mean, obviously you're buying your food. But the tools that we're going to talk about that we're doing is fasting, low carb, meal timing, okay? Sleep. This is important. I'm going to ask you this week not to do those hard workouts. Maybe you're used to doing CrossFit or high intensity interval training, but I'm going to say that a lot of times women are experiencing a lot of adrenal fatigue due to the lifestyle we're living, all the stresses around us, chemical, emotional, and physical. We have Wi-Fi, we have constant contact. We have demands from jobs, from family. Even if we don't have young children, we have adult children. We have aging parents. Whatever. There's so many different factors, but we're experiencing a lot of stress in our even chemicals in our food, in our air, in our water that are actually causing stress on the body. So when we exercise too hard and we already have a lot of stress in other areas, it actually will have the opposite effect. And we're going to hold to store body fat because when the body's in fight and flight and it thinks it's in an emergency, it will store fat because it's designed that way so that you have the energy to fight, run, or freeze. Okay, so we have these different responses, but so we want to incorporate walking. So I would say if you can walk 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon, 20 minutes after dinner, that's perfect. I want to get 10,000 steps a day and then maybe doing yoga or Pilates. But don't wake up like at the crack of dawn to fit your workout in when you went to bed at midnight. I want you to aim to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, preferably quality sleep. And there's some hacks that I can help you with. I'm going to share this one with you now. I want to bring in the circadian biology to this week because this can be a game changer. So in the morning, we have sunrise. And then in the morning, we have sunrise at, I don't know what time it is. Well, right now, if we're all in New Jersey, it's about 5:30, maybe quarter six. I have to look at my circadian rhythm app. So it's actually called My Circadian app. I'm going to put it in a link to it in the email. And download that, put in your area. It's going to tell you exactly when the sun rises. So about an hour after sunrise is actually it's called UVA rise. And during UVA rise is the most important time to be outside. So if you can be up for sunrise, fantastic. If you don't see the sun coming up, it's still coming up. Go outside, or if you can't get outside, even if it's raining, open your window, have your coffee or your tea or do whatever your morning routine is, eat your breakfast with an open window or have it outside because that's going to send that message to your brain that it's time to wake up and it starts your metabolic function kicking in. UVA rise is when you're going to get that cellular energy, and your body is going to start making melatonin in the cells to set you up for a good night's sleep. So optimal, you're up at sunrise, you go out on your deck, you take a walk in your backyard, you walk around the block, or maybe not walk around the block at that point, but you're just gonna sky gaze to the east. And even if you don't see any sun, the rays are there and the waves are coming. So a couple minutes even. If you could do it for 2 minutes, if you could do it for 10, great. If you could do it for one, great. An hour after sunrise, that's the best time for a morning walk. Walk around your property. You can take your shoes off and ground at that time. If you live by the beach, perfect. Go to the beach. That's a great time to be outside for about 20 to 30 minutes, and that's really going to wake your body up with the UVA being higher. Then you might start work or whatever your daily routines are. And if you could pop outside or keep a window open, because the waves of light come in. So they're blocked by the glass. So if we want to get some of that light in, we're going to open the window a little bit. I have the window open, so when the computer's on, I try to like negate some of the Wi-Fi and the non-native EMFs. Walk away from your work or whatever you're doing. If you can pop outside for a couple minutes throughout the day, if you can see sunset, awesome. But then we want to block blue light at night because blue light is emitted from these LED light bulbs that we have, and they're it's very damaging to our metabolism, and it causes a lot of stress in our cells. So incandescent light bulbs is another topic for another day, and we can discuss a whole other webinar on light. But let's keep it simple. Reduce the light at night. If you can shut off lights, dim your house, make it darker, like candles, or that's your best bet. But then here's the thing. I like to watch TV at night too. So I'll watch Netflix movie or whatever with my husband. What do? I wear blue blockers. I didn't bring my props with me. Sorry. I'll bring it on Tuesday. So my blue blockers are it's a like a amber color or orangey color lens. So they're called the Nightfall lens. And I recommend Blue Blockers. It's a company. So I'll put the link in. Um, just start with one pair. You don't need daytime blue blockers. Just the one pair is perfect. So when the sun goes down, I put my nightfall glasses on and I can watch TV and I can go on my phone if I need to. And it shuts out off all the red light. Like it takes out all the blue light so that my I'm not sending the message that it's daytime. So two things happen. One, you're going to fall asleep a lot easier because it's really hard to fall asleep when you've been under lights, watching TV, checking your phone, and then all of a sudden you shut the lights off, TV's off, you're laying in bed and you're like, I can't fall asleep. So this is going to help you fall asleep faster. It's also going to help with nighttime cravings. So a lot of my clients are like, I just feel like I need to have a snack at night. I want to be watching TV and eating popcorn or something. And the truth is that's not ideal. So you're not going to be hungry though. You're not going to crave it because your body knows it's nighttime. And so it starts shutting down the systems. So you won't be hungry. So it has two parts to it. So the blocking of blue light, getting the sun in the morning throughout the day, even at 1 or 2 minute intervals. If you can see sunset or just at least have, again, the windows open during that transition, it's very powerful. Two other tools I'm going to tell you about that it would just be a tool in your toolbox. I use phototherapy patches. I use the X39, which is the number one patch I'd recommend to help your metabolic system. There's a lot of clinical studies on increasing metabolic function wearing the X39. So many other benefits to it. I'll put a link to my website that where I sell the patches. X39 is the number one. Now, there's some also other patches that help with weight loss. The energy enhancers are a two-patch system. They help you with energy, okay, feeling good without stimulants. So it just is sustained energy. It also burns up to 500 calories a day because initiating. I can't think of the technical term now, but it's using fat for fuel. So that's pretty cool. So energy enhancers come in a envelope that contains 30 patches. But you wear two patches at a time, so it's 15 days worth. But you don't have to wear it every day. It may be something you wear every other day or, some kind of schedule like that along with the X39. Then there's two other patches if you really want to like boost it up. Um, the SP6 patch actually is specifically placed on two different parts on the left side of your body because it helps support the endocrine system, which is the thyroid. It's been shown to help lose fat without doing any change at all. So that can help, and you can wear it. It's like the placement is under the knee or on the inside of the ankle, like on the a couple fingers up from the ankle on the left side. So maybe you don't want to wear it during the day. You can wear that patch at night. So I'll give a link to that, but we can dive more into that on Tuesday. Some of you are already using the patches. So I would stick with the X39 if you want to kind of just ramp it up and try the energy enhancers, try the SP6 for a month or two. You would wear the SP6 every day, either daytime or night. And then X49 is another patch that you wear during the day with the X39. And that will help with bones, muscle, cardiovascular. So the ultimate weight loss patching protocol would be X39, X49, SP6, and then energy enhancers. You do not have to get all those patches, but I just want to let you know that it's an option. So if you need some support, you may have a question and maybe say, Sheila, I want to just get one patch, and I'll say X39. You would say, okay, I can add one more. Which one would it be? And we can discuss it. I can help you with that to see what the best pick would be. Sometimes SP6, sometimes it's X49, just depends on your situation. Okay. The other tool that I'm going to tell you about is a peptide. So, interestingly, the patches that I was just talking about elevate a specific peptide to initiate a function in your body or to heal your body in some way. Peptides can also be injected or taken orally in some cases. I choose oral because I don't like to give myself shots. I've never done that, but it's something I guess I would do if I needed to, but I don't want to. So there's a company called Integrated Peptides, and there's a lot of great peptides on that site that I recommend to help heal gut, reduce pain, help with all sorts of things, infections, immune system. But on that site, there's a product called Can't Wait. Okay, weight is spelled WEIGHT. And in it is a bioregulator. So peptides are amino acids, a chain of amino acids, 50 to no more than 60. So it's a small protein. And bioregulators are even smaller. They're only 2 to 3 amino acids. So this bioregulator contained in the Can't Wait, along with a couple other of ingredients, is fantastic help support to fat loss by helping reduce cravings and actually helping burning fat. So those are two tools. You can, again, if you reach out to me, just email me back if you want to jump on the phone or you have a couple questions and what do you think would be best for you if you want to go down that road of exploring different tools that can help you. Okay, so I went over that. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, so we went over circadian metabolism and how the light can help you with fat loss. It can help you with energy. It can help you with your sleep. So getting outside at sunrise and then also UVA rise and taking your walk then throughout the day, limiting your light at night and by wearing blue blockers and dimming the lights. And we talked about movement and getting like 10, aiming for 10,000 steps a day. And you can do that cumulative, which is even better. You can do a long, long walk, but then you don't want to be sitting all day and just walking for an hour. It's better to actually throughout the day move your body. Over exercising can lead to adrenal fatigue, and that can sometimes backfire, which I wanted to tell you. And then we talked about day 7, the 24-hour fast, which we will get more into on Tuesday, or the mimicking fasting option. Um, okay, so I think that, oh, I wanted to mention this. So if you've done a hair tissue mineral analysis with me, then, you got really that's when I can really give personalized recommendations because then I know exactly what's going on with your thyroid function, your adrenal function, your metabolic function. I know what deficiencies you have. I know what areas we need to focus on supporting and bringing back to balance. It has been the compass for me in my journey, in my decades of being in wellness, and the last 14 years of being in holistic nutrition. I was doing all the right things. I was low carb, I was gluten free, I'm organic, all these things. And when I did my hair, I was taking a bunch of supplements. And what I realized when I did my hair tissue mineral test for the first time 3 years ago was that I was really out of balance. I was driving north when I thought I was going south for like a decade. So I have now put myself into the right direction and I'm doing the work. I was doing the work. I was just not doing all the right work for me. And in fact, I was actually causing myself some problems or that weren't manifesting yet, but would end up in osteoporosis, arthritis, just to name some other atherosclerosis as well, could have been on my list 10 years down the road. So I feel very blessed to have found hair tissue mineral analysis as a compass for me. And that's why I'm so passionate about doing it for you. So you can, if you haven't had one, you don't have to do one to be part of this jumpstart, but I would recommend it for now or in the future. So you can get that on my website. And like I said, if you have any further questions, you can learn a little bit more about it on the website. Just read the description. And like I said, if you have any questions, I'm here for you. So I think we covered it all. Light, movement, sleep, stress. Oh, stress management. Not really. There's actually a program called Primal Trust. And in this day and age, we all need nervous system regulation. We need to know how to regulate our stress. We're not going to eliminate stress. We can take some things off our list. If you're a recovering people pleaser, like me, you find it hard to say no. You want to do everything. So, and you do all these great things, but at the end of the day, you're burnt out. So, taking some of those things off your list that may not be a full priority, like somebody else can do it. I learned that a while ago in a talk. It may be great to volunteer for that charity. It may be very wonderful to be the class mom or to, you know, um, volunteer at your church. All that stuff is great and good for you, but you have to ask yourself the question, can somebody else do that? Because you already might have enough priorities that nobody else can do. Like you may be the only one to take care of your children, or you may be the only one to take care of your aging parent, or you may be the only one to do your job. So you have to figure out your priorities and then take the other stuff off the list and don't feel guilty about it. But then nervous system regulation can also, in the moment, send your body into rest and repair. So Primal Trust is something I recommend. It's a program online and it walks you through all the steps. It's an amazing program that can help with chronic pain. It can help with releasing trauma. It can help with difficulty with any health issues you're having, sleep, anxiety, stress. So we talked about sleep, we talked about stress management, we talked about movement, we talked about light, and we talked about food. So I'm sorry, it's more than food, right? Don't you wish? I know everybody wants a diet. It's like, just tell me what to eat, and like nothing else matters. And as we know, if you guys are here and you're women in your 40s, 50s, or 60s, you know that those diets don't work anymore like you used to do in your 30s or your 20s. So we need to do it differently. We need to take all of this stuff and put it together. And the good news is that it's just a lot of unlearning because we've been misled. We've been lied to about how to actually get our bodies healthy and that fat loss is a side effect of health, right? So we kind of like come to programs because we want to lose weight, but ultimately, we want our bodies to be functioning at an optimal level, and then the fat just comes off. So we need to unlearn a lot of things, like the sun is bad, like fat is bad, that I don't know, there's so many out there. There's so many misconceptions of cholesterol and salt. All these things I help you with relearning the right information. So anyway, I'm so excited you're here. And like I said, just reply to this email with any questions or concerns, or if you want any more information on the patches that I talked about, or the peptides, or the hair test. Have a fantastic weekend with your family and friends. I hope you get outside. I hope you just have a lot of fun, and I'll see you Tuesday on one of the Zooms so that we can jumpstart. All right.